So how do you do that when you walk into a $19 billion deficit hole from the get-go?
Yeah. Well, the budget plan, first you got to work the revenue side, right? We got to get Californians back to work. But then I've identified $15 billion of savings that will, frankly, I think make California stronger, not weaker. And I'll tell you the categories they fall in. First is we do have to shrink the size of government. We have too many people who work in government. Second, we've got to reform the public employee pension crisis, which is in many states, not only California, but this will cause California to run out of money if we don't fix it. I'll give you a little statistic. In 2000, we spent $300 million to support the public employee pensions. This year, it's $3.9 billion. Then we have to reform welfare. We become the welfare state. 12% of the population, a third of all the welfare cases. And then we really need to run this government more efficiently and effectively. Using technology would be a place I'd start.
But now, don't you think that if it were as easy as cutting wasteful and obviously frivolous programs, that it would have been done long ago by Governor Schwarzenegger and others?
I bring, I think, a unique expertise to this. You know, in Silicon Valley, when we have a problem we can't solve, we figure it out. We go around, we go underneath, we use technology to do things that haven't been done before. We haven't even begun to use technology to make the government run more efficiently and effectively. For example, to find the fraud. $3 to $4 billion of fraud in the administration of Medicare and Medi-Cal. I mean, can you imagine?
You
So
don't
there
think
are
Governor
ways.
Schwarzenegger wants to get rid of fraud too?
He does, but he and I had quite different backgrounds. I mean, I applaud Governor Schwarzenegger on many dimensions. He did a number of good things, but hadn't had the experience of running a big, large organization where you have to focus people on doing a small number of things well. And boy, my technology expertise, I think, is going to make a big difference here.
Talk a little bit about the fundamental difference, though, between working in the public sphere and working in business. I was reading one of the profiles of you, and somebody who'd watched California politics for a long time said she's going to be shocked to discover how powerless a governor is compared to how powerful a CEO is in a company.
Well, the government should never be a business, and it isn't. But I think there's lots of things that we can apply, managerial expertise, that will help put California back on track. I mean, what we have here is a crisis of very significant proportions. And what I can tell you is doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for different results isn't going to get you there. So I think there's a lot that I bring from the private sector, bringing people together, focusing on a small number of things, doing things in ways that have not been done. And, California's been on a downhill slide for many years, and we're going to have to fundamentally change how we do things.
You said that you've got to get the revenue side
Mm-hmm.
in order. Every single, at the national level, big deficit reduction package by President Reagan, by the first President Bush, by President Clinton, has involved tax increases, revenue, as well as spending cuts. Is the better part of honesty and candor with the voters of California to say that's what you're going to have to do as well?
I don't believe we are going to have to do that. I am against increasing taxes on Californians.
You can close a $19 billion budget deficit simply by cutting spending?
And growing the economy. What we need is a bigger economy, not a bigger government. And so if we can get Californians back to work, bring unemployment down, that will increase tax revenues. And then we have to, as I said, we have got to take a look at every line item in this costs of the state of California, and we're going to have to run it more efficiently and effectively. The truth is, we have a government we can no longer afford.